Okay, welcome back. This is Chess 103. Now, last time I showed you kingside and queenside castling from this side point of view, and I figured today, well, now it's a few minutes later, you get kind of like an aerial view, maybe. Get a nice view, you get my perspective of it, You see how the pieces are set up. That's kingside. And that's how you see queen side. This is the wrong side for the queen side, though. So, you freaking come around. You can kind of see it. Where the queen is, all that. Alright, that is king side, queen side castling. And that is the king side, queen side house setup. So, now, yes, earlier I told you, we're going to do rook and rook, king versus king. This is how you checkmate a king should the board end up in this kind of position. Now, as you can see, I'm just moving the pieces off because I'm not, I don't want to find a game and play through it all, from any of my repertoire, because very few of them ended this way. Now, let's say, the kings are here, you have a rook over here in this corner, and you have a rook behind the king for some reason. I don't know. You did something weird. Now, the basics of this is your king is facing their king, which means he can't move forwards. It's his move, let's say. So he moves here. Now, what you want to try and do is block him away from the majority of the board. You want to lock him into a smaller and smaller box. So, what do? How do you lock him to a smaller and smaller box? Well, the easiest way to start is check. Now this second move, he goes here. Now you have this row blocked with this guy. This guy over here now can slide down, check. Now the king not being able to move into check, he cannot cross this line because of this rook. He has to back up over here, going for that one. Going into this row that's open. And now you move check. It's walking him. It's a stair system, so he goes here. Now, if you move your rook to this spot, this king will take him. So, what you have to do now is take this rook, use a move, and come all the way over here. Now, this king is going to move this way, and you go check. Now, he can't go into this row because of this guy. He can't enter this. He has to leave this row, so he can only go backwards. He can only go away. He can't move forwards. He has to go towards that one back row, that lone back row. We're going to invert the board real fast for you so you can see it better. Now, he's in check. He moves this way. This is called checkmate. Alright, this position is a checkmate. The king cannot move here, cannot move here, cannot move here, can't go there, and can't stay there. It's his turn. He cannot move. He has nowhere he can go. He will be in threat. He'll be in check. He can't because this rook's blocking this row, his escape, and this rook is attacking the row he's in, and he has no defenders, nothing. So that's called checkmate. Now, it's pretty easy to do it with two rooks. Now, I've been told in live tournament, I had it was down this way. It was this setup right here. Something like this, and I was told that, by the opponent, that I could not checkmate him. It was a draw. And I smiled. It was my turn, and I said, no, it's not. I moved. He's like, yes, it is. He raised his hand for the judge, and I'm like, no, it's not. And the judge came over, and I said, I can't have checkmate. I can checkmate him with this. And the judge agreed and said, play out. So he moved here. I moved across the board. He came back. Now, next move, if I move here to line up, to block this row, so when the rook moves, he'll have moved out. So you move one in front. So he lined up, check. He backed up towards my rook. I came in one off because I always want to make him move in front. So the next move, I can move the rook. He moves here. I move here. He moves here. Now I move all the way over here. So he moves back. I move the rook one space. This is killing a move right here. So the next move he does will line us up, or he'll go away and then I chase with the king. In this case he lines up, and then you move the rook. Now he can't go here, he can't go here, he can't go there, he can't go there, he can't go there, he can only go backwards. So of course he heads towards the rook. I once again set it 1 off, he moves in, I move the rook across, away from him, he moves back, I kill a move, he lines up, I fall back, he comes there, I move the rook all the way across the board, he lines up, I move 1 in front. Now at this point he's figured this out. He's figured out what the lineup means. He goes away, I move. He goes away, I move. He goes away, I move. He moves. You know, the only move he has is back to the square now. He's trapped. He moves back. Checkmate. King cannot move to either sides, cannot move forward, because king cannot enter check. My king, having these positions, having moved here, when he was still in this position, and he moved here, control these 3 squares. If he moves forwards, it's my turn, and I take him. And that's checkmate. That's killing the king. And he can't stay here. This is called checkmate. The king cannot escape his threat. No matter what he does, the next turn he is going to be taken. So, this is called checkmate with a king and the rook. I've been told many times that, you know, by opponents that you can't win with that. You can't win with that. And every time I've had to prove them wrong. You know, other factors like pawns and stuff can come into play, you know, but in this situation, I won outright. You know, sacrifice the pieces to guarantee the victory. So that is how to checkmate. That is checkmate. Checkmate is trapping the king in any one of a number of fashions. I'm going to show you scholar's mate right now. 3 forms of scholar's mate. The first form being white moves first. He moves the F pawn, as you know, from the left-hand corner to the right. When you're white, it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. H. There's no I. Sorry about that. When you're black, it goes from H to A. Once again, the columns are called the same thing all the way across, so it's a little bit inverted for the other side. For this first mate, white moves this pawn up 1 or 2, doesn't matter. Black moves the king pawn forward 1 or 2, doesn't matter. Now this next one's the one that really matters. They have to move that G pawn, which is the one in front of the kingside knight, up 2. And then black, of course, moves in. That is a checkmate. The king can... There's nothing that can step in front of the king to block the queen. There's nothing that can interfere, and the king cannot escape. It's called checkmate. Now this is one of the scholar's mates. It is, you know, the greatest mistake a chess player can do. One of them. Next is called 3-move checkmate. Is scholar's mate. It is the most common version. Let's say they move this. Yeah, I move that. I move this and they move that because we have to go in order. It's their turn. They move this. You move this here. They move this pawn up. Rook, queen comes up to this position here. Now, if you can see, the queen is right in front of where this bishop used to be in this file, lined up with this pawn here, which is, if you can't tell, you know, you can see it. Yeah, see, so once again, you have the queen. Oh, okay, gotta make sure to keep this somewhat in view. Okay, so you have the queen here, bishop here, both are lined up. You have this diagonal here to this pawn, you have the queens straight away. Alright, that's just a nice little aerial view for you of the moves. Just thought you might want to see it more than just from your sideways angle, sorry, but you know, don't have a nice angled cam yet, so you're kind of stuck at that horrible angle. Now, let's say they move this up too. This queen stomps that pawn I mentioned earlier, I showed you, spent so much time showing you, and that is checkmate. That is scholar's mate, one of the 2 main versions. There are other slight variations to it, which can be affected by opponent's moves once again. Anything your opponent can do can screw up your plan. When you make a strategy, make 2 strategies. Don't just have one. So if you're gonna do a scholar's mate, you open this. Bring that knight out. Not that one. Bring this knight out over there, because you move here, you move this. What happens if they put that pawn up? Now, you're screwed there. I mean, that lets them out of scholar's mate, because they have this square. The king will be able to exit if you take this pawn with any other strategy. Now, let's say they did this. Now, a good thing with this plan is, you move this knight now up. Remember 1, 2, 1. Now, another beginner will see this bishop, they'll take it. Make sure your queen is lined up with the f-pawn. This knight here is lined up with that f-pawn. It's the f7 pawn, just so you know, it's the one on f7. And your queen comes down and hits him with a hammer, blow, basically killing him, and checkmate. It's another variation of scholar's mate, one of my own. I have used in more games than actual scholar's mate. So that is some more basic chess strategies. Remember, you'll occasionally notice I will not do turns. I'll just move one side to show you the moves. This is a turn-based game where you get 1 move a turn, so that's 1 pawn move. That's your turn. It's their turn now. Just remember, once again, turn-based game. You can't do what I'm doing. It's just basically, just demonstrating for you some of the moves. So I hope you learned something from this. This is Chess 103, and hope to see you soon.